What's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. So today's story is definitely an interesting one and a crazy one, and I hope you enjoy it. But before I get into it, just want to say sorry for not uploading the last couple days. I just got caught up with family and friends. It was my brother's birthday, so I was hanging out with him, and I just kind of took the weekend to chill with family. But I'm back and resuming the daily uploads, and what better way to come back than with a story time like the one I'm about to tell you right now. So let's get into it. So today's story time all starts off 2 years ago. I'm at my friend's house. We'll just call this friend Ethan. Now, I've been friends with Ethan for a long time. I met Ethan in high school, and I'm still friends with him to this day. And the thing about Ethan is he's always down for anything, and he's always looking for a thrill. Like, he's one of those people that I've talked about in previous story times that always wanted me to go to abandoned places and always wanted me to go do crazy things with him. And he was just a thrill seeker. Like, he really was just like a straight up adrenaline junkie. And if he wasn't doing something to, get adrenaline, he was like, usually tripping on some shit. You know what I mean? Like, he's just always trying to stimulate his brain in any way possible. So I'm in Ethan's room and we're bored, right? We can't find shit to do. There's no concerts going on. There's no parties. There's no friends around. And we're both just like bored. Nothing to do. And he's like, I have an idea. And I'm like, what's your idea? Because when Ethan has an idea, it's usually not always the best one, right? It could always result in someone getting in trouble or something like that, So Ethan looks at me and he hesitates and he goes, you ever do salvia before? And I was like, yes. He goes, I have some. I'm like, bro, have you done it before? He goes, no, I want to try it. I was like, bro, it's not what you think. Like, that shit, I've done a lot of stuff in terms of tripping. I've done shrooms, acid. That shit, like, it's the fastest, but it doesn't feel the fastest. And the trips that I've gotten from it are almost all bad. And he goes, well, come on, man. Like, don't say that because then I'm going to have a bad trip. I was like, bro, I'm not trying to make you have a bad trip. I'm just letting you know that shit, I don't know if I want to do it. He goes, come on, bro. I don't want to do it alone. I was like, dude, we can't do it at the same time because then if we do that, like, no one's here to watch us. He goes, okay, how about this? I'll go first and you just watch me. And after that, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But if I have a good trip and it looks fun to you, you can do it too. I was like, fine, man. I'll watch you, but I'm not doing it. He's like, all right, that's fine. So like 10 minutes later, he busts out his bong, he busts out the salvia, and he's getting ready to do it, right? And I'm sitting there like really not enjoying this because I know what that shit does. Every time I've messed with that shit, I have a bad trip or somebody I know has a bad trip. So I was really worried about my friend, right? So he takes a hit, and he's like, oh, I don't really feel anything. And he takes another hit. And almost immediately after the second hit, he looks at me, and he starts to drop his bong, like it's slowly slipping out of his hand, and I grab it. And I'm like, okay, let's just put this down, man. And he's looking at me with this look in his eyes. It looks like he was about to cry. And he slowly sinks down into the couch, like he lays back, and he starts making these like sad weeping sounds. It sounded like two whales having sex, like literally. Also, I don't know what that sounds like, okay? So don't come at me being like, how the fuck you know what that sounds like, Luna? Come on, bro. I don't know. I just can't think of anything else to compare it to. That's probably what it sounds like. But he ends up weeping on the couch and like looking all over the room for like 3 to 5 minutes. And then he comes back to reality. Like over the next couple minutes, he just slowly comes back. And he keeps feeling his skin and then like looking at me. So I ask him, I'm like, bro, why do you keep feeling on your skin like that? He's like, dude, I felt like I transformed into something that I wasn't. And I was like, what do you mean? What was it? He's like, dude, do you know those things at train tracks? Like when you're driving and you stop at the train tracks and that thing comes down to stop your car when the train goes by? I was like, yeah, like the railroad crossing sign thing. He's like, yeah, man, those things that stop your car so you can't go past the tracks. I was like, yeah, I know. He goes, I felt like I was becoming one of those. And it was like, I couldn't stop it. And I still haven't accepted that, like, I'm a human, bro. Like, I literally still feel like I'm still in it. I was like, so, wait a minute. You thought that you were a railroad crossing sign? Like that stick that comes down and stops the cars? He's like, yeah, man, like the whole thing, like the sign, the stick, like everything, the whole railroad crossing, like mechanism. I was like, get the fuck out of here, dude. He's like, dude, I'm serious. It was crazy. And for some reason, I just couldn't believe him. I was like, nah, you're fucking kidding. Because it sounded so bizarre. But I'm mad that I didn't believe him because, like, that's not really that crazy to think about when it comes to salvia. That shit is just not anything to play with. So I'm like, yeah, okay, man. He goes, you know what, man? You don't believe me? Why don't you fucking try it and see what you see? I was like, okay. So I smoked the salvia to try and prove a point that it probably wasn't strong to begin with, and he didn't even feel anything, which was so wrong. So I take a big hit. I hold it in for as long as I can. I exhale, and I felt that shit immediately. He took 2 hits, maybe because the first one wasn't as big, but I took 1 big hit, and I did not need a second because I couldn't take a second hit if I tried. I was out, dude. Like, I took the hit, and almost immediately, I was just in another plane of existence. And I can't tell you what I was doing in the physical realm, but I can tell you what was going on in my head. So right after I take the hit, I start feeling like a vibration feeling, and I see shapes and colors. They almost look like a shape of like kind of like a hexagon, if I can compare it to anything, going down both sides of my eyes. And I can see this circular, almost like a sun. It looked like a sun right in front of my face where my friend was. And I kept trying to reach out and grab it because it was small. It was like a small sun. But I couldn't grab it. Like, I couldn't move my arm for some reason. And I was getting frustrated because I couldn't move my body. I kept trying to move, and I felt like I couldn't. And I wasn't moving. And for like 3 minutes, maybe 5 or however long it wasn't long, I remember that. But I was just sitting there on the couch trying to move and trying to grab this thing in front of me, and I couldn't get it. And I remember at one point, the small sun moved up into my lap, and I was trying to touch it, and I couldn't. And the whole time this is happening, I'm hearing auditory hallucinations as well. Like, I'm hearing shit. It sounded like a choir that were all singing different things. So it was like complete just overwhelming, like sensory overload in my ears. And it was scary. Like, it literally sounded like I was being screamed at by a million different voices. And I also heard like a drum sound, like a ba-boom, 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 and like screaming over it. And it was terrifying me. And the more I focused on this like screaming, like choir sound in my ears and this beat, the more and more I got scared, and the worse the trip got. And I just remember sitting there for the entire trip, like a whole like 5 minutes or so, just dealing with this like choir of just screaming demons in my ear while there's a sun sitting in my lap, a small like basketball-sized sun hovering in my lap that I couldn't move to touch. And the whole time, I just remember sitting there thinking, I'm stuck here forever. I'm never going to get out. Like, this is my new reality. I'm stuck here. That's what I was thinking. And I thought that pretty much the whole time until I slowly came out of it. And it was so strange because the whole time I was in this trip, I knew that it was a trip. I knew that I smoked salvia, but for some reason I thought I was stuck there forever, and I thought it wasn't going to end. Like, the minutes just felt like hours. Luckily, they weren't hours. 5 minutes later, I came out of it slowly, and I could slowly hear the auditory hallucinations kind of fading away, and I could see my friend and communicate with him easier. And after it was fully gone, I knew exactly what he was talking about. It felt like I was going to get ripped back into that reality and stuck there or something. Like, I was so scared of even thinking about that shit ever again. And I looked at my friend and I was like, yeah, you're right. That shit's not to fuck with. He's like, I'm telling you, bro. I don't even think we smoke salvia. I think it's something else. And I was like, nah, man, I think that is salvia. Like, it looks like it. It seems like it is. I think we just got some really strong shit, and we both had very, very unique, strange trips. He's like, yeah, man, like, you want to do it again? I was like, dude, fuck no. You thought you were a railroad crossing, like, mechanism. Fuck no. He's like, yeah, but it wasn't, like, bad. I'm like, dude, it seemed like it was bad. You thought that you were going to become that again and kept touching your skin. He's like, yeah, but, like, I'm tempted to, like, try and have a better trip now. I was like, nah, man, I'm good forever. He's like, all right, fair. And, yeah, me and him just hung out after that and just kind of didn't do a whole lot of anything. We just kind of sat there in his room and just, like, got some food. He did not smoke it again for the rest of the night because he kind of thought about it and was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to do that again just in case it is a bad trip. He did smoke it again a few days later, but that was not with me. That was with a different friend of ours. But yeah, guys, moral of this story is don't smoke that stuff. Don't smoke salvia. Don't do anything because you watch my videos, but especially don't smoke salvia because that shit, I'm pretty sure it's been outlawed in a lot of states, like made illegal. And I think it's for a pretty good reason. That shit is nothing to fuck with. I know like 10 people that have smoked it, and I think out of all of them, maybe 9 have had a bad trip or 8. So yeah, obviously I cannot recommend that to you guys. Don't do it. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story time. I thought it was a crazy one. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys all later. Peace.
Baby, I'm damaged. I cannot plan this. Won't you be mine tonight?